Hi guys, back today with a lovely little SUV, cracking little car this, the Vauxhall Mokka X 1.4 turbocharged engine, puts out around 138 brake horsepower, which makes this little car a lovely little punchy drive. Definitely one I think you should look at if you're looking for something in the mini SUV range, compares to things like the Renault Capture and other kind of cars in that range. It's a lovely little car, and this one being the elite model, it boasts some very tasteful additional options which we'll go through now. Let's have a look around the car and I'll go through some of the options of this car. We'll take it for a little drive and see what you think. In my opinion, it's absolutely lovely car. This colour with the nice metallic orange does make the car pop a little, and it does sit nice on those nice alloy wheels and nice chunky tyres. Let's go around the car and show you what I think. Like and subscribe if you like the channel, and let me know in the comments below what you think of this and whether it's something you've had or something you've got, and have a look around and we'll see how it goes. So here we have the Vauxhall Mokka X. This is a 1.4 turbocharged engine. Produces about 140 brake horsepower. As you can see, it does have quite a nice design on the front. This beautiful large grille at the front with some nice chrome strips which continue into the headlight design. And those are your daytime running lights there at the top, which are a really nice addition to this. This is an elite model, so it does have a lot of additional extras compared to the lower models in the Vauxhall range. This particular car comes with the 18-inch alloys and nice large chunky Continental tyres. They are quite nice, not the best wheel design you can get, but I think quite nice for this vehicle. Does give it quite a sort of nice rugged trail look. The colour itself is a nice orange metallic, which I personally think is quite a nice colour for this car. And even it being a little car, quite a small car, it does have quite a large presence, which is kind of hard to explain, but when you sit in the car and you drive the car, you'll know what I mean. And as you can see there on the back, it has the decals for the Mokka X and turbo on the other side. Being a turbocharged engine, it is quite punchy to drive. Does have quite a nice acceleration on it, even for a small 1.4 engine. And even though it's quite a large car, that engine does push it quite well, which we'll go through when we take the car for a drive. As you can see there, has the elite badges on the side. All comes with the colour coded mirrors, has the roof rails on the top as well if you wanted to attach a roof box or anything like that. And it is quite a nice design. It's obviously the successor to the Mokka, and this being the Mokka X, it does have a slightly facelifted front, but the actual body shape itself is not far off from the Mokka, and they are pretty similar. This is quite a nice design. It does have the front fog lights as well, and sits quite nice. We'll have a look at the inside and then we'll take it for a drive and see what you guys think. Coming inside the car, as you can see, being the Elite model, it does come with the full leather interior and half automated seats. You have a lumbar support there, and the lift on that side is manual. It's an automatic gearbox, which is quite smooth and nice to drive. It has a Triptronic buttons on the top there to allow you to change gears manually, and it has the full climate control feature, and as you can see, it has a nice infotainment system which allows you to use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto once it's plugged in. Even the dash is quite nice. It does have a nice large steering wheel with multi-functions on it where you can control quite a lot of things. That steering wheel is actually heated as well. There's a button there in the middle of the climate control which allows you to put on your heated steering wheel, and you've got heated seats for the front passengers as well, which is always quite a nice option. You've got your twin drink holders there in the middle. You've got a nice cubby section here which allows you to have quite a bit of storage, and you've got another storage area here which you can basically just open, and you have in there your charging point, 12 volt, and your USB for your radio. And you've got the glove box there, and obviously the door bins are quite narrow, you can't get a lot in them. To be honest, you struggle to get any large bottles of water or anything like that, but you can get a small bottle in. And going into the back, now that front seat is adjusted for me, so I'm 6'2", and you've still got a decent amount of leg room with the rear passengers. So even with me driving at the front there, the seat being completely back, there's a decent amount of leg room. You can get 3 passengers in there comfortably. It does have a centre armrest as well, which has a twin drink holder in it, which is nice. It has a rear headrest. These leather seats are all full leather, and they are folding as well. There's a section here that you can pull and basically allows the seats to be folded down, as you can see there, which makes it completely flat. And these seats do actually have Isofix clips here as well, so you can put Isofix seats on the 2 end seats, so not the middle, but the one on this side and one on that side. So if you've got Isofix baby seats, you can fit them in here quite nicely. It has full electric windows, full electric mirrors, even the rear windows are electric. I know some of these cars have manual wind-ups on the back, but generally quite a nice car, and sits quite nice as well. And if you look at the headroom as well, it does have a decent amount of headroom, and that you've got a 12 volt socket at the back there for if you need to charge the kids' tabs and things like that. It's very good. And going into the boot area, it does have quite a decent boot space as well. It's a nice size boot. You have anchors on the sides here to hold anything down that you need to. You've got a nice little cubby section here, which is there's an umbrella, and there's a little area on this side, and there's this area here, which is where you could have a spare wheel, but in this case it's just a toolkit. But it is quite a shallow space, so if you needed to store more things down there, you could lift this up completely and put a bit of stuff in there, which is quite nice. But generally quite a nice looking car, and quite a nice drive as well. I'll take you for a drive now and see what you think. Let me know in the comments below if you've got one of these, or if you've driven one, what you think of it. I have heard a lot of different mixed reviews of this car, but my opinion on it is that it's quite a nice car for your money. The price quite reasonably as well, so compared to the competitors, I think you get quite a large amount of options in this car, and generally it's quite a nice car. So take it for a drive now and then we'll see what you think. So the Vauxhall Mokka 1.4 Elite, it's quite, to start off, is quite a comfortable seat, strapped in now nice. You've got a nice armrest here, which is quite nice to have. It makes it like a captain seat. The auto gearbox is within reach, and it's quite a nice feel. Generally it's quite a nice feel. Has a front and back reversing park sensors, has the grid in there to show you how far back you can come. It would have been nice if it was on the screen, but it's not. It's in the dashboard area and the speedometer area. But other than that, I mean, the screen is, infotainment screen is quite nice. Everything's right here. You've got heated seats, you've got a heated steering wheel, you can switch your park distance control off as well, and all your heater buttons and things like that generally in quite good reach. I mean, some cars you do have to go quite into the settings and things nowadays. In the electric one, it's all on the screen, and that can be quite complicated sometimes, especially when you've got two kids rattling about in the back. And had that experience, and I must say it generally does make a difference. But generally the drive itself is quite nice. I think I had it in manual there, where you can drop it down one lower and it goes into a manual mode where you use the Triptronic buttons, but we've took it back into drive now. And like I said, it's a 1.4 and it's a turbo engine. We'll launch away from this junction. And as you can see, it does go quite well for a small engine. I mean, the actual sound of the engine you can hear quite a lot. If you push it, it does rev up quite high, but it's a small engine, and I would say that's expected for something like this. But I mean, there are cars that are quieter, but generally it pulls away quite smoothly, and it's good for city driving, where you sort of need to be quick into lanes and stuff like that. And generally it's quite nice. It even sort of rolling along at 30 miles an hour now, it feels great, you know. You don't feel like you're uncomfortable. I mean, even for a big guy like me, I feel quite comfortable in here, and these seats are exceptionally comfortable. So I know I've sat in a lot of sort of Volkswagens this size, and the seats are very hard. They're like sort of like they're made out of they got cardboard underneath them holding the seats up, but these are really sort of soft and comfortable. When you sit in them, they're actually really nice, which is surprising for sort of a small car like this, and generally quite nice. And you know, it's a nice car to drive, and I think based on what the car is, you're getting quite a lot for your money. I mean, if we look at comparisons for this car and think about whether those cars are going to give you what this does, I mean, you've got full leather interior, you've got 18-inch wheels as standard on the Elite model, and you know, you've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. There's a touch screen here which gives you a lot of options, satellite navigation, this being the nav model, heated steering wheel. I mean, you'd have to buy a Range Rover to have a heated steering wheel these days, and you know, you're not going to get that in sort of like a Renault Captur or in something like a Volkswagen Tiguan or something like that. You know, heated seats I think are an option now on a lot of vehicles, but I don't see many with heated steering wheels, and I think that's quite a nice option to have for the winter time when it does get really cold. And the actual heaters in this car are very good as well. They warm up so quickly, even on the cold mornings. You can drive this car for about 5 minutes, and being a sort of smaller engine, I can understand it does heat up quicker, but the heaters do warm up really fast, and I think that's a really good thing, especially living in the United Kingdom, where we do get a lot of cold winters. So definitely a thing to consider. I know this is not a four-wheel drive, but even the two wheels, whilst we had the snowfall, I drove this car in the snow and it wasn't too bad. It does grip pretty well. I think that's a lot to do with the big chunky tires they've got on those 18-inch wheels, so it does help. And generally I think if you're looking at buying one of these, I think you should definitely go and test drive it, and I think you should definitely be in your options if you're looking at a mini SUV, because I think it's quite good value for money. I mean, something like this, this being a sort of 2018, this particular car's only got about 20,000 on the clock. It retails between sort of 12 and 15,000 depending on mileage and spec, which I think is a good car for the money. You look at the comparables in that sort of range, and you might be buying something which is sort of a 2014-15 for the same kind of money. And like I said, option wise, you get everything you'd need, and it's a good car for sort of school run. It's a good car for just generally, you know, using. I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who does a lot of motorway mileage, because it's being a petrol, and a smaller engine, I think it would struggle a little for sort of that kind of mileage. But somebody who uses it a lot for the city and picking up kids and stuff from school, I think it would definitely be a good vehicle for them. But yeah, I mean, driving it, we'll take it down on a bit of a country lane now and see how it feels doing sort of 40-50 miles an hour, and see how it feels. I know I've had a reading a few of the reviews on this, and a lot of critics did say that it has a lot of road noise. But to be fair, I mean, once you're in here, and it doesn't sound too bad. And I don't know sort of what they're comparing it to, because everything I've driven within this range is about the same. I mean, I know we reviewed a Porsche Macan earlier on in the channel, and to be fair, in terms of road noise, I wouldn't say it's far off that, and I don't see that being an issue, to be honest. Obviously, it's slightly lower than the Macan range. I know it's a bad comparison to do, but to sort of give it the heads up, you know, it does kind of tick that box, and it is a nice drive. And with the auto box, I mean, the gears change nicely. There's no sort of clunks or anything, and you know, it pulls away quite light, which is the best thing about it. The last thing I like is a sort of car which feels really heavy to drive, and this is not one of them. You know, it does drive very well, and it is quite a light car to drive. Like I said, we've got a bit of country lane coming up in front of us, so we'll take it down there, and then we'll get a slightly better idea of how it sounds when it's rolling down doing 40-50 miles an hour. So now coming on to a bit of a stretch here where we can push it a little bit more. It's country lanes here, national speed limit. We can put it up to about 50 miles an hour to get a better idea of how it sounds when it's driving down quite nice. But you know, even now we're sort of rolling down at about 45-50, and it doesn't sound too bad at all. It's in this cabin, you do feel quite nice and insulated, if you know what I mean. It does sound quite nice. It cuts you out from quite a lot of the outside road noise. You do feel a bit of road noise from the tyres, and you can sort of feel it a little bit coming through your accelerator pedal, but nothing major, I would say, you know. And generally, even sitting in this car, if you look around you, it's not as cheap and plasticky as you would think for something in this range of car. You know, the dashboard is covered in leather. You've got nice leather here, you've got leather here. Even this sort of piano wood that they've put on, which is probably plastic, but it's giving it that nice look. And you've got a nice chunky leather steering wheel, which is all stitched, which is nice to have. Whereas a lot of sort of comparables to this would have sort of plastic everywhere, and more sort of a molded plastic steering wheel, you know, things like that, and it makes all the difference. But generally, this car itself is quite nice. And to be honest, I've never been a big fan of Vauxhall cars, and I know they have had quite a few problematic engines over the years, which sort of had premature failure in early, you know, between early times, low mileages, and that's why I've always kind of avoided them. But this particular car, it's so far so good, and it's a lovely drive. And to be honest, everybody who's sort of drove this car, I've given it to a few family members to take for a drive when they've needed it here and then, and they've all been very impressed by it and quite wowed by it. Not in a way that sort of like they would think that, oh wow, it's an amazing car, it's out of this world, but in a way where they're sort of impressed that this sort of car, being sort of in that smaller range, is so well equipped, and it does have a lot of options for sort of that kind of car, and it drives so well for a smaller car. And I know it is low mileage as well, and it's expected to be, because it is at 20,000 miles. It's not exactly a very used car, but still, it's, you know, it is quite impressive for what it is, and it performs quite impressive. And even in terms of fuel economy, it's not so bad as you'd expect. Obviously, this one being an eco drive, it does give quite a good MPG. I mean, even driving down now, you know, the trip computer is showing that it's maintaining a sort of an MPG of about 40-45 MPG, which is not bad at all. You know, when you're on a stretch, I mean, I think city driving would probably give you slightly below that, but as an average, I would say it's always maintained about the 40 MPG for us. And petrol obviously being cheaper as well than diesel by about 10 pence at the moment, so you know, it makes all the difference. And and I think generally quite a nice drive, yeah. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Like and subscribe to the channel if you think if you're happy with what you see, and hit the notifications button. We were comparing some of the cars with this range as well, so if it's something you're looking for, let me know, and you know, we can always put it on the channel. If you've got something that you'd like me to review, I'll be happy to pop down, come and have a look at it. But yeah, generally the Vauxhall Mokka, I would definitely rate it you know, as one of the cars I would buy if I was looking at this type of vehicle for myself or for anybody else in the family. And I think great car to have and great car to drive. If you're interested in one, definitely go and test drive one. And if you've got any questions for me, send me a message, put it in the questions below, and I'll always try and reply as soon as I can. And thank you very much for your time, and like I said, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. Thank you very much, and see you soon.